Alright everybody, I hope you're having a good day. Today is a special video for a very old sword. This is a katana, or this is a wakizashi that was made by a smith called Kanenori. This is in its shirisaya. It does have a koshirai. It's missing the kozuka knife. But it does fit this koshirai setup. So this is a much later production. This is Edo period work, and very typical, very nice quality. And I'll go into this koshirai and I'll talk about the blade. So this is a sort of speckled, sparkly koshirai with horn fittings. It's missing its sakeyo as well as its kozuka, but I have a kozuka that might fit this. So the saya is in excellent shape, and its curve does match the sori of the blade. This handguard is very simple. It's iron. It has an allowance for a kogai and a kozuka knife. Features leaves with flowers and a lot more activity on the exposed side. Very simple, no inlay, no nanako, no nothing, just very simple. Has a nanako covered Fuchi. So I don't know if you can see that. Maybe it'll show it. Nanako are little dots stamped onto typically copper or iron, and this has been patinaed with shakudo, which is a blackening, as well as the end cap here, also shakudo, but it's very plain. The Manuki are shishi lion dogs on both sides, which is part of the appeal of this sword to me. The kosher, I adore shishi dogs. So, in fact, I have another sword that I'm kind of sort of a side project, long-term thing that I'm going to be doing with the shishi themed. This has its storage sword, and the seppa are just copper, standard Nihonto copper seppa, with an allowance of flat for the kozuka knife, the kozuka kogatana, to go in here. This is in excellent shape. This was probably made in the 1700s, based off the Hozon token paperwork that I got with this blade. They dated this to the 1770s. Now this sword is dated to the 1630s by Kanenori. He was a smith who lived in Mino province, and he was a swordsmith. There are 5 great sword schools in Japanese swordsmithing, and Mino is one of those. Some of the work is quite amazing, including this. He made some interesting and bold choices with this blade. This is a wakizashi, like I said, which is the sidearm. The katana during the Edo period when this was made, the katana was the field weapon, or the weapon that the samurai would be forced to carry around in public, and then their sidearm, which was the wakizashi, was with them pretty much at all times. They would surrender a katana typically upon entering a building and keep the wakizashi on their person. So the actual blade predates the koshirai by about 170 years, roughly about 200 years. So I'm gonna go ahead, and my math may be off. I'm sick right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and open this up, and I'll show you what's interesting about this blade and what drew me to it. Not only the condition, because it's an excellent polish. The blade is healthy. It's very nice. Typically you find old blades. Now this is an Edo period, so it's not old. I have a very old sword, and I'll be doing a video on that. But the polish in particular on this one's very nice. This is a Hozon token. It's rated. I can't remember what the rating is, but it is signed by Kanenori, and dated to the 1630s. He was active from 1629 to 1644, or 16. Let me check my notes here. 1624 to 1644. So I place this in the mid-range. It's about a 10-year period, or a 20-year period, sorry. Again, my math, I got sick brain. So opening this up, you can see very interesting choice. Double bohea on one side, which is very attractive, and the bohea go, as I showed you, way down into the nakago, which is the tang. But on this side, a single bohi, one large one. Very, very cool. I like that. I'm not sure what the thought process was, but I think it's very attractive. The hara and the hamon are particularly beautiful. Very subtle, but when you really get into it, there's a lot of color variation, and they are very bright ni, or nie, whatever the word is for the little crystalline structures in this section in the cutting edge just behind the hamon. Again, I'm forgetting my Japanese terms the moment I start the video. Another interesting feature about this is it has a huge kazaki. This is probably the biggest kazaki I've ever seen on a Japanese sword in person. I know that there's some that are very big, but this is like, I don't know, 3 inches of kazaki. It's quite a big cutting tip. And the hamon travels quite skillfully done, very symmetrically in an even pattern all the way down. It is slightly wavy, but still straight. I can't remember what the straight hamon is called, but this is a little bit curvy compared to the deadly straight hamon styles. This is a very thick wakizashi. I believe it hasn't, maybe it's been polished once based off the health of the blade, the actual thickness of it, which is remarkable because something from the mid 1600s in such pristine shape really is a testament to the Japanese tradition of maintenance. The sori is quite drastic. I know it may, I think I'm looking at my viewfinder right now, and I know the blinds kind of make this look a little straighter than it is. It's actually got quite a good curve on it. Not as much as I've seen on some swords, but it is a nice sori. The hibaki is nothing special. It's just like the grain of rice pattern with a long grass. And then the Nakago in here, I'm not going to take this out again. I don't feel like doing it. The Nakago, it was in, I would say, kind of poor health. I think when whoever polished this did the polishing, they just kind of cleaned up the corrosion on the Nakago because the signature is pretty worn away, indicating that the Nakago had some finish work to restore a little bit of the condition at some point, because that signature is not the deepest. I believe it was polished off slightly, or some of the corrosion was removed, and as a result some of the signature was removed. Because if you saw in the close-ups, the signature of Kanenori is very shallow, but it's there, it's present. It's not like it's gone, or it's been cut away. I know this is a wakizashi, but I've seen some mume katanas that had a tang roughly the same size as this, about a 6 inch, that had originally had a tang with a signature down in the bottom half, but it was cut probably during World War II or in the Showa era. But the signature's about here on this particular sword. Overall, I think this is just a beautiful example of Mino craftsmanship. And to put it in perspective here, I'm going to wipe this sword off and put it away. And then I'll show you the Koshirai because I like the way it looks. So, to put it in perspective for the age of this sword, it's made in Mino province, like I said. I got some notes here. In the 1630s, roughly, the Puritan migration to New England happened out of Great Britain. There was the explosion of Mount Vesuvius, and the first printing press was set up and started in New England, or in North America, all of North America. The first printing press arrived and was set up around the time that this sword was forged. And then King Louis the 16th was born around the same time as this sword was made. Also, more importantly to this sword, or more relevant to this sword, Japan enacted a rule of isolationism. So they barred merchant vessels from leaving Japan, and merchant vessels, particularly from Portugal, from entering Japan. And I believe a lot of it had to do with the spread of Christianity in Japan, or had some part to play, because they also outlawed the practice of Christianity in that same time period. I believe it was either before or after. One or the other happened slightly before or after in the 1630s. And it was called the Sokoka Edict, and it outlawed the practice of Christianity. And there were some rebellions that took place as a result of it. So that's just kind of a historical overview of what was going on in the world at the time. There's a lot of colonialism, a lot of expansion of European powers. I believe it was the Ming Dynasty in China, and the beginning of the Edo period. Blade was forged towards the beginning of the Edo period, and of course the Edo period ends at the start of the Meiji period in the 1800s, as Japan sort of modernized and threw off its roots and became more of a leader on the world stage. So again, I just think this is one of the most beautiful koshirai I've seen in a while. Unfortunately, whoever did this wrapping, or did the Tsukamaki, they put the Makugiana right through the silk wrapping of the Ito. So that is one casualty. I may get this rewrapped and have it done to where it doesn't have that wound there. I do kind of also eventually want to get a different Tsuba to match the Shishi, because I like Shishi dogs, the lion dogs. They're protective spirits, and I won't get into it, but I really like them. So I may get a Tsuba that features a Shishi on it. I'll try and find one that is more subdued, maybe no gold inlay. I have a bunch of Japanese koshirai components with Shishi on them, so I'll see if I can find one that is more subdued. The work on this is excellent. The horn pieces for your Sugeo and your end cap are quite nice, and it features a little horn guard here to protect from cracking when inserting your Kozuga and Kogatana. It doesn't have an allowance for Kogai, like I said, so this hole there is just vestigial. But I really like them. I particularly love these Minuki. I think these are nicest little, there's quite a lot of detail. I hope I picked it up in the close-ups, but probably just picking my face up rather than the sword. There you go. But in there's all kinds of fur patterning, all kinds of detail of these shishi dogs. Sorry, it's probably focusing on my mug. You can see they're both kind of running and turning, looking over their shoulders and snapping or whatever. I have another set of Manuki that are finer than this, that are shakudo with gold accents on them. I'll do a video again of the koshirai that I'm putting together for another Japanese sword. And by putting together, I just have the components. I'm going to have it together on a thing once I build a different circa wood handle for it. I have the samigawa, I have the Manuki, I have the fuchinakashira, I have the seppa, I have the tsuba, I have everything I need for the handle. I just don't have a saya. So I got to make the components at this point, because finding for Nihonto, finding fittings that actually fit, that don't just come with them. When I had purchased this came as a set because it matches the blade. So finding saya that match the sori, which is the curvature of your blade, or the depth, is, I mean, it's a crapshoot. So unless you take your sword to some, Japanese sword dealer and you just try it out and everything, you just got to kind of make your own. So again, I just think this is such an elegant shape. It's wasted slightly in the middle there, and this is, interestingly, no, I guess that's right, because of the makugi, the Manuki is like in the middle here, and then down at the bottom. So that's this very old sword from the mid 1600s, made by Kanenori, who was a smith in the Mino school. And I'll take this out of the shirisaya one more time. I'm sure my gloves are filled with all kinds of dust and stuff, but I won't touch the blade. I just want to show you the bohis again. The bohi. And there's that one big bohi. Interesting, it ends like right there. Not sure why. And there's the two bohi, and again they end like an inch from where the kasaki starts. And at first when I saw this, I thought this was a cut down sword. Maybe it was a sword that had like a half length set of bohi. No, the hamon curves with the kasaki. Maybe I can see. So this sword was made this way. Interesting. As far as a feeling in the hand, definitely has authority. It's a bit of a chunk, so I would feel very confident, drawing this out in a pinch and defending myself with it in a self-defense situation. So again, I'll wipe this off. This is a little microfiber deal. So one more thing I just want to kind of show this bag. This is the bag this sword came in from. The seller I purchased this from lives in Hiroshima. He sent this bag. I think this is just such a beautiful bag, and it's interesting because, like I said, at the time Christianity was outlawed in Japan, and this bag has little crosses there, and the silk work is just gorgeous, almost Middle Eastern looking, or Indian. I mean, I know this is a Japanese bag, probably made from a kimono, but I just think it's such a beautiful work of art in and of itself. It's so precious. All the metal colors, the copper, the gold, silver. I feel very lucky to be able to even hold this, just the bag. So that's this Kanenori Wakizashi from the mid 1630s. I have a much older sword that I'm going to be showing in another video. I have a number of Nihonto, which are the broad term for Japanese edged weapons or Japanese weaponry. Not just swords, but also their muskets or whatever their firearms. And I like Wakizashis a lot. Wakizashi, because if they could talk, they'd tell you 1,000 stories. I know this is a kosher eye, but this has seen plenty of age, and I'm sure it would be able to talk a lot about certain things that it was a party to or witnessed. But precious items like these need protected, and I plan on doing my best to preserve wonderful culture of Japanese sword making halfway across the world. I have a number of Japanese swords. I'll be showing the rest of them in future videos. One in particular is from the 1430s. I have it with its Hosan token paperwork from the NBTHK, whatever the Society of the Preservation of Swords or whatever in Japan. Their body of sword experts and sword preservation enthusiasts. And so I'll show that sword in another video coming up, along with the parts for this kosher, because it's only in a Shirisaya at the moment. It doesn't have a kosher eye, the war fittings yet, which I have assembled over a long period of time. I'm pretty close to being able to just make a circa, and a saya for it. So again, I'm sorry I was so sick. I'm barely able to talk right now. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Talk to you later.